Oftentimes we do things and we don't know that we're doing them. We feel sad and depressed, but we don't know that we feel this way until we fully break out of our shell. We do things for ourselves. Starting off, we do things for ourselves, but we can get confused of our journey. We can get confused about what we want because what we're doing for ourselves eventually becomes what everybody else wants, and that can confuse you to the point where you're questioning, what am I doing this for? Sometimes our where we start isn't where we end. Sometimes how we begin isn't how we want to finish. Sometimes what other people on the outside see this and they project all of this stuff against you, all of this energy to make you want to strip it all away, take it all away. Because now I have lost myself. Because now I feel like I'm doing it for you rather than doing it for myself when I started off doing it for myself. Sometimes you get put in a position where I'm walking outside and I'm gonna just be lazy. I'm walking outside and I'm just doing this just to do it. And eventually that turns into what you want. And what you want is often portrayed as what others don't want. So then you have to step inside yourself. You have to reflect back on yourself. And you have to be yourself. You have no other choice but to be yourself because you don't want to be anyone else. You don't want anyone else to impact your decisions. You don't want anyone else to paint this image of you or perfect you or add their 2 cents to you. You started off like this and it was going to continue on this way because that's how you felt at that moment. You wanted to be this way because that's how you felt at that moment. You needed that space, you needed that time, you needed that clarity, you needed to feel okay first. Eventually, you get comfortable and you start liking what you see and you start feeling pretty. You start feeling your pride being built back up again. And you're okay. You don't care about, you know, anything else. You don't care how anyone feels about you because you're taking care of yourself. You do something for yourself, and it's often you hear like people saying, oh, she's insecure. Oh, she's afraid. Oh, she She's doing this because she doesn't want to face reality. She don't want to face who she is. She's doing this because she doesn't accept herself. But no one knows what anyone goes through. No one knows. And that's what makes me angry and aggravated and sad, and upset, because you can never just be good. It's not that you're using these things as an expression. You're doing it because you feel what you feel. When I was younger, I always we had uniforms on, so I always dressed myself up. In high school, we didn't wear uniforms, so I always figured out some way to, express myself through the clothes that I wore, because these clothes was not enough. These clothes was not enough for me. They weren't enough. So I often did extra just to fully express how I felt inside. Just because I walk out and I'm looking this way, it's because I feel that way inside. If I look beautiful by all of these, necessities, all of these, um, all of the fashion, it's because that's how I feel inside. But then you come to a point where, why can't I feel this way without? You come to a point where now I don't want this to define me anymore. I want to define me. And this can get confusing, because what once made you happy doesn't make you happy anymore. And then you question yourself, like, why am I not happy when I used to be happy? You know, I did this and I'm happy. I did that and I'm happy. And then you toss one away, and now you feel like that has taken everything from you. Where's my half? Where's my half of happiness? We when I starting off, you use things to define you, when really all you need is to define yourself. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and start, um excuse me. And it's hard to just lose yourself in your reflection as well. you know you've covered yourself so long, to the point where now you don't even know who you are. You don't know what you're seeing. Like, is this me? You question, is this me? Because it don't look like me. you know it don't feel like me. But everything is a process. You just got to trust the process. This is a part of trusting the process. Verse of the day: instead, I want to see a mighty flood of justice, an endless river of righteous living. Sometimes people make you feel like you're not worthy. People make you feel as if you can do better and you can be better, but what's better to you is not better to me. You see better. You see me, she's good this way. I like her this way. Keep her this way. When really you're only drowning in denial. You're drowning in denial. To live to live in an endless river of righteous living, you have to accept who you are. You have to be who you are. Righteous living isn't going over here and taking this because, it makes you feel like you're accepted. Righteous living isn't that. Righteous living is being organically you. And sometimes you need to be put in a situation where you can be you. You know, my past is a reflection of who I am today. So if I go back to my past, it's not, you know, it's me. You know, everything I do is me. Everything I do it for a reason. A reason. You know, it may be a season, it may be 2 seasons, it may even take on to, it may even be a year. But sometimes that's what somebody once said to me. Don't let anyone influence your decisions. Don't let anyone have any type of impact on your mind. Don't allow anyone to have that influence on your life to where you feel like now you got to change up to make someone else feel better. Don't allow that, because that's what we're going through in a world. In the world we live in today, we are we are, doing things mindlessly, unaware that you're only doing it because to make someone else feel better. You begin to revert back to your old ways. You begin to revert back to your own patterns. But know by the end of the day, it's not your fault. You didn't do that because you're doing this. When you're not fully conscious and aware of of your presence, you allow other people to have that influence on you. And that's why it is so important to never allow anything into your temple. Don't allow nothing into your temple. Just don't, because they will kink and they will just make you feel like something is wrong with you when something is wrong with them, and therefore they're planting their seeds into your temple so they can flourish for their own gain. But what are you taking in the end? You have to think about yourself. That song I sung about Rihanna, from Rihanna, I did it for a reason, you know. I can't even think of the song right now. But her song really spoke into my life, and I perceived it in a different way. It wasn't about, I took it as a lesson to myself. Let me go to it. I don't know if it's this one. Who am I living for? Can I endure some more? Chances are given, question existing. So whenever you're in a time where you feel like, you want to be you, sit there and think to yourself, who am I living for? What are you doing this for? Are you doing it for you? Because if you go out there and you feel like you're doing it for someone else, then that's exactly what you're doing it for. You're doing it for them. What are you doing? What are you living for? Who are you living for? That's what I meant. That's what I took from that song. Who am I living for? Because sometimes that's just a reminder. You need to remind yourself who you are living for. When you do things for yourself, you're living for you. When you do things for your loved ones in your circle, you're doing it for you. And when I mean by loved ones, I mean like your dependents, your children, your family. You're doing it for you, not anyone else outside. You're doing it for you. So when you go and you're doing something, you know, don't just remember, just remind yourself, who am I doing it for? Keep that as a affirmation. Who am I doing it for? Who am I doing it for? Who am I doing it for? Because sometimes that will just be your confirmation. We don't need other people to confirm how we feel. Look at me. I went outside like this today. I went outside, shorts, this long sleeve thermal, my shoes and my socks. But these shoes really don't look like they need socks. But I went out there this way. Why? Because I was confused at the time, and maybe that's actually what I'm giving off. But at the same time, I just think, white means, it doesn't reflect. It doesn't bring in a lot of heat in the spring. Shorts is hot outside. White, it's about the color to me. White doesn't attract heat as black does. So, I just put two and two together and I walked out here and this is how I look like. But it's oftentimes where people just think and they want to question you, like, why is she wearing that? Why is she doing this? Why does she look like that? You know, but it's on you. That's on you. Whatever you're going through, just 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 sit with yourself. That's all. Um So we allow these thoughts to come into our mind, these voices to come into our mind, and we gotta just have ourselves as confirmation. There was a point where, like I'm saying, I always revert back to this mind, this mind that that doesn't have the knowledge or have the experience or haven't had any lessons or anything. Like I revert back to how I was before when I know I'm so much far and I'm sitting there questioning, like, why am I going through this? I already been through, why am I going through this? you know And that catches me all the time. Like, I really just get irritated with myself because I know that I've been through it. So I'm just thinking, like, why am I going through this again? I already been through it and I don't have the time. But it's what you allow into your life that has a huge impact on you, or that will confuse the situation or influence the situation. There was this one lady, and she was talking about how wigs and stuff has spirits. These wigs carry spirits. So it's like wherever, like, just think about that in a way as things. Things are, there's often times like energy that just attracts to anything that you buy. So that's why I feel like a lot of people do go without, because they're more intact with themselves. When you go out and you're buying these things, now you're allowing all of this influence in your life. You're allowing this thing to influence your decision. You can be doing it for one reason, but all of energy, what does energy do? It collects dust. That's what I mean. No, that's what do things do? They collect dust. Don't see yourself in that way. you know know that you are higher and you are more powerful. You are better than these things. Sometimes you don't have to see things in that way at all, though. Like, I'm just rambling right now, obviously, but you don't have to see things in that way. Like I said, whatever makes you comfortable, do it. Don't allow anyone to influence your decisions or be that influence on your life. If you feel good, go out there feeling good. Even if you look in that mirror and you don't look the same as you was when you was feeling good at that moment, because a lot of times, you may not realize this, or I may, a lot of times I look in that mirror and I'm a good woman and, like, I'm feeling pretty, I'm feeling beautiful, and I go back to me and I'm like, now I feel kind of insecure. Like, I don't like this look. Something about me is just off. Sometimes you just got to, when you see that, don't even go back into the mirror, because that's where I feel like, you know, the mirror also can be some type of something that you have to, put a boundary up. Only go into that mirror one time a day. You go in, and that's what I used to do before. I used to go into the mirror one time, because I don't like reverting back to the mirror, because it's like, now I don't feel the same way. I don't see what I seen before. It's because a lot of, your outside circumstances can often change your perception. They can kink with your perception, and now you don't even see yourself the way you did before, because that's what the world. That's the type of impact people have on other people. So maybe that's something I like I said, I used to just go in the mirror, do what I did for the day, and leave, and don't return back to the mirror because I don't want to, I don't want anything, messing up my judgment, clouding my judgment about how I was today. And if I'm feeling kind of, if I am looking kind of rougher than I was in the morning, it's because I was out doing what I need to do. And you see me now, you're gonna see me later. It is what it is. This is who I am overall. Um, so yeah. With that being said, all right, so we went to the verse of the day. Now we're going to go to, I would say that song, but that song is, yeah, I want to play the song, but my speaker ain't in here right now. At this moment, I feel very, very impatient with myself, by the way, because a lot of my plans just seem really scattered. Like, I can't even focus right now. I can't even go in my son's room and freaking fold his laundry because I'm so distracted, you know? So I gave my number to you. Good morning. You can call me, baby. I love to hear you. I mean, good afternoon. It ain't even the morning time. It's afternoon. Ooh, that's a that one. Yeah. And my phone just died, so I couldn't even send a text message. Um. So yeah, we're not. I'm gonna go ahead and do. Hopefully this don't die because I ain't charged nothing. Like I just been sort of out of it today. So this is James 3:24. Instead, I want to see a mighty flood of justice and endless river of righteous living. Oh, is that James? No, that's Amos. Amos 5:24. Um, I never heard that name before. That's one section I never read in the Bible. It's like I was focused, and then my focus just went off. Like my focus went all off today. And I feel like, something ain't going right for me. I'm trying to figure it out. Um, but overall, I did have a good day. I did have a good day. My whole morning was good. I was so good. Like, I was, overall, I had a good day. It's just something inside me just speaks louder. Oftentimes I am having a good day, but something inside is just, you know, I have to, it's something telling me like I'm feeling this way right now. I'm feeling this way. And I don't know what that feeling is, honestly, though. I don't know what that feeling is. But it's like sometimes you gotta pay attention to what makes you feel good. You're feeling good, so what makes you change? If you're feeling good, what makes you change? If you can answer that for me, because I just don't want to think about it no more. I don't want to think about it no more because it just irritates me just to think about it. Because I know what it is. I definitely know what it is. 885, and that's what aggravates me so much. Like I'm so freaking aggravated, you know. So this was which hold on. This ain't it. I went to the right page. Oh, so it's not in this one. It's like it's just like every day is a constant reminder, you know, of why you shouldn't accept something. But that's where forgiveness comes in. You try to forgive. You try your best to forgive a certain situation, but it's so many reminders. But when you feeling inside yourself, that reminder, that's something you gotta listen to. Like people can say it all the time, but once you start feeling it, like, oh yeah, okay, so that's what I really need to pay attention to. Because you can be blindsided all you want to, or you can have this blindfold that somebody has placed on your eyes, but eventually you're gonna break through, and that feeling inside is gonna let you know, like, no, this ain't about to happen. No, this already happened to where I am feeling this certain way. This is why I'm feeling this way, and this is why it can't happen again. So at times where you just feel, when you're feeling that, that's something you gotta listen to the most. And sometimes, if you cover yourself long enough, that feeling will become silent. It will become quiet to where you can't really hear, you can't really feel it, but eventually that feeling will find its way to you somehow, somewhere. And that's what just irritates me about people. I fucking hate the way people is, you know, how they make you feel and how they try to just manipulate any situation to get you to react in a way that they want you to react so they can, because they feeling some type of way. That's what I fucking hate about people. Honestly, and I'm sorry I'm speaking this way and I'm looking in the Bible trying to find this verse, but at the same time, I'm speaking on how I actually feel, and that's how I feel because people are the worst. And I can go back to that. People are the fucking worst. They are the worst. Just because they feel in some type of way, they'll project that onto you. Just like the one time I was arguing with my sister and she was, boom, insecurity. Are you insecure? Are you insecure? The day I was at my family's house and I was at my family's house and we was at the memorial thing, and she just said, "You insecure." She didn't say, "Are you insecure?" She was like, "You're insecure." Like I'm like, "No, I'm not." And I was actually feeling really, really good that day. I was feeling real, real good about myself, because I accepted, I accepted myself. This is who I am. It is what it is. I was in that type of mode. And then she just said that and it just messed up my whole mode to the point where I wind up going home earlier than I was supposed to. So that's what type of impact people has on you. People need to watch what they say because they don't know what you're going through. So when they just throw stuff out there talking about and trying to make you feel that way, you got to stand up for yourself and be like, I have come a long way to feel how I'm feeling right now. You have not been in my shoes or in my journey or in my experience to even try to have that type of effect on me or alter anything that's going on in my life, because I've already felt that way. I felt that way. I worked through it, and now I'm to a point where I'm feeling good about myself. And that's what irritates me the most about people, because they have no consideration of what you've been through, and they never will. So that's why you always got to keep your guard up. You got to build something in you that's not going to, you know, move at all to what or what they want, because what they want doesn't matter. What they want is what they want for themselves. So when they see you, when they saying this stuff to them, I mean, they're saying this stuff to you, they really want to go inside and say it to themselves. That's what irritates me the most about people. And it pisses me off just thinking about it, because like I said, I have been through a lot. And the way people is, how selfish and inconsiderate they are, that they can't sit down and go in their house or do something to figure out their situation, figure out what's wrong with them. Instead, they want to walk out and project it onto the next person because they feeling some type of way. You go through it, so I don't have to go through it. They do it to make their lives more easier. They do it so they can sleep at night. They do it to get attention. And they do it because they see you getting that attention because of where you came from and what you already been through. They want to feel the same way. They want to put you through things that they're going through so they can, get something good out of it, so they can benefit from the situation. But they didn't do the work. You did. They didn't do the work. And I can be feeling so good and past this. Like I'm past this. And here I am going through it again. Because people just don't know how to, you know, reflect. They don't know how to do. And sometimes you can think about it in that way. Maybe I'm working for that. That's what I'm saying. That's saying now I'm trying to see the positive in a negative situation where I really need to just sit with how I'm feeling, because this is how I feel. But at the same time, that's where growth come in, seeing the positive for a negative. And that's where I feel like God works in your life. God works in your life to put you through what they can't handle. They can't do this. And oftentimes, like before, I used to hear all the time, like, they're not like you. You are, you got a different mindset. You different. This, that, and the third. They'd be saying that. And I'm like, well, maybe there's a reason. I'm being put through the same thing I've already been put through, but just think like I may be the best at what I do, and therefore people don't know how to do that. People don't know how to be this way. People don't know a lot that goes into my mind that can help their mind, you know. So sometimes you're put in situations to build up that person to where you came from, because you can handle it. A lot of people can't handle it, and that's why they end up in jail. That's why they end up in a shelter. That's why they end up getting their kids taken away from them. That's why they end up, overdosing, killing themselves, and this and that, you know. But at the same time, the helper needs a helper as well. And that's where you turn to God, because you see all of these things is coming to you and you've already been through, and therefore, it's kind of aggravating you, and it's interfering and clouding your judgment to where you don't have that understanding. So now you would have to just, put it in God's hands, because that's how the world is. Period. That's how the world is. You're full of a world. It's like being in a jar full of insecurity, self doubt, and this and that. Like, you know, you just sitting in that bottle of water, and it's just like irritating. You know, it's aggravating, because it's just you're drowning in it, and you're to a point where you just don't have any more energy. You don't have any more time. You don't have any more patience to go through that again. You are weak. And yes, I can turn to God and I can look to God to give me the strength. But you get to a point where I don't want that strength anymore, you know? I don't want the strength to deal with what I already been through because now I'm exhausted. I got a life of my own. I got kids of my own. I have to be strong for my kids. I can't be strong for nobody else. I can't live for this world. I have a family on my, I can't. I can't. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's too much to the point where you just feel like you want to break down and cry, to a point where you just don't give a fuck anymore, honestly. You just don't care. But you have to care because you are a mother at the end of the day and you can't give up. No matter what everybody else is putting through you can't give up because and even if they feel like you can handle it much better, it comes to a point where, I am human too. Can you acknowledge can you acknowledge the fact that I am human too? You know, I may be strong, but I'm just like you. I have feelings. I have a heart, and there's been plenty of times where I feel like I get paranoid to the point where my heart is beating a little bit too fast and stuff like that. And I just don't, you know, I'm to a point where I get scared too. I get scared too, you know? I don't know. I feel like crying right now, but I'm gonna try to keep it together because, like I said, I'm exhausted and I'm tired. I'm more tired than anything. The only energy I have left now is to provide. That's the only energy I have left. The only energy I have left now is to go out there and do. I can't be doing all this extra. I need to, you know, make a living for myself. That's what I need to do. I need to make a living for myself and focus on what, you know, I can't focus on nothing else. I can't do this anymore. That's what you get to a point where you just like, you can't do this. You can't do it for yourself. You can't do this. You know, you can't do this anymore than you already have. And I don't know, I think, I feel like the world just puts you in a position where you have to do it and you have no other choice. But that's the thing. People they don't care. They don't care how you feel. They're going to put you through it anyway. But maybe, that's when I say you gotta put yourself in other person's shoes. Like maybe if you experience what this person is going through, then maybe you'll have a little bit of consideration to what you're putting this person through. Maybe you'll have a little bit, just a little bit. You can think about what you're doing for once in your life. I just got black on my new white shirt. That sucks. Okay, so let me see. I've been looking for this for the longest. 524. Okay, 524. We are going to read to 524. But let justice roll down like waters on and righteous like an ever flowing stream. The lament of Israel's sin. Hear this rail which I take to that which I take up over you in limitation, O house of Israel. Fallen no more to rise is the virgin Israel. Forsaken on her land, which none to raise her up. For this says the Lord God, the city that went forth 1,000 shall have 100 left, and that which went forth 100 shall have 10 left to the house of Israel. For this says the Lord to the house of Israel, seek me and live, but do not seek Bethel, and do not enter into Gilgal, or cross over to Beersheba. For Gilgal shall surely go into exile, and Bethel shall come to naught. Seek the Lord and live, lest he break out like fire in the house of Joseph, and it devour with none to quench it for Bethel. O you who turn justice to wormwood and cast down righteousness to the earth, he who made the Pleiades and Orion, and turn deep darkness into the morning, and darken the day into night, who calls for the waters of the sea and pours them out upon the surface of the earth. The Lord is his name, who makes destruction flash forth against the strong, so that destruction comes upon the fortress. They hate him who reproves in the gate, and they abhor him who speaks the truth. Therefore, because you trample upon the poor and take from him exactions of wheat, you have built houses of hewn stone, but you shall not dwell in them. You have planted pleasant vineyards, but you shall not drink their wine. For I know how many are are your transgressors, and how great are your sins, who afflict the righteous, who take a bribe and turn aside the needy and the gate. That's what I'm saying. Oftentimes I do things. It's like when people know your weakness, people know your weakness. That's what they use against you. No matter how hard you fight it, you just want to question, like, why, why did I let this happen to me when I know my weakness? I know my weakness, they know my weakness, and maybe that's where you get taken advantage of. How do you turn that weakness into a strength is a question. Maybe I can answer that later on. Therefore, he who is prudent will keep silent in such a time, for it is an evil time. Seek God and not evil, that you may live. And that's the thing. It's like, okay, so um you don't have to really figure that out. It's like if you know your weakness, they know your weakness. All you can do is live with it. Just don't do anything to change, because that's what people want from you. I feel like that's the foundation of what everyone how people get their way. You go out one way and boom, somebody see you and they want you to change because they don't like the way you're looking. They don't like this about you. So if you just think about change, this person wants change from me. So just go outside, go on, live your life, stay here, live your life, do what you got to do, stay home, live your life, do what you got to do, but don't change. Don't change because that's what they want you to do. Seek God and not evil, that you may live, and so the Lord, the God of hosts, will be with you. And you have said, hate evil and love good, and establish justice in the gate. It may be that the Lord, the God of hosts, will be gracious to your remnant of Joseph. Therefore, this says the Lord, the God of hosts, the Lord. In all the squares there shall be wailing, and in all the streets they shall say, alas, alas. They shall call the farmers in the morning, and to wailing those who are skilled in lamentation. And in all the vineyards there shall be wailing, for I will pass through the midst of you, says the Lord. The day of the Lord, a dark day. Woe to you who desire the day of the Lord. Why would you have the day of the Lord? Is it is darkness and not light, as if a man fled from a lion and a bear met him, or went into the house and leaned with his hand against the wall, and a serpent bit him. Is not the day of the Lord darkness and not light, and gloom with no brightness in it? I despise your feasts, and I take no delight in your solemn assemblies. Even though you offer me your burnt offerings and cereal offerings, I will not accept them, and the peace offering of your fatted beasts I will not look upon. Take away from me the noise of your songs. To the melody of your harps I will not listen. But let justice roll down. But let justice roll down like waters in righteousness, like an overflowing stream. Did you bring to the sacrifices and offerings the 40 years? In the wilderness, O house of Israel, you shall take a Succoth, your king, and Kawan, your star god, your images which you made for yourself. Therefore, I will take you into exile behind Damascus, says the Lord, whose name is the God of hosts. So that kind of give us an expression of what that verse meant. But let justice roll down like waters in righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. So in this verse, um in this verse, God was angry. In this verse, God was angry. He was angry because of all of the, you know, trading, this for that, you know. Um what people want, people want something from you, they're going to trade something. People want this from you and they taking from you. They're taking all that they're taking from the innocent. They're taking from people that's, don't have much. They're taking and taking and taking. No matter what your situation is, you can't take from no one. Don't take anything from no one. Don't take anything from no one, because that makes the Lord angry. And if you are, a lot of people have become bold to the fact where they test in the waters of God. And I heard this before. Somebody once said, like, yeah, people are really bold nowadays. They're testing, who you like, you must be really crazy to sit here and try to test the Lord. And I told them, I told this person, I'm like, yeah, they real bold. They real bold, but they don't know what they got coming. They want to keep testing the Lord. you know Eventually that wrath is gonna come down, and if that don't scare you, that ain't none of my business. If that don't scare you, ain't none of my business. But just know, you know whatever happens to you happens to you. I ain't gonna say anything as bad is gonna happen to you, because I don't know what's gonna happen to you, but God gonna do something about it. People want to keep trying and doing, just keep trying and trying and trying, as if something that happened to you wasn't oh, so it ain't, that ain't teach you nothing. You ain't learned your lesson yet. All right, I'm gonna show you something. I'm gonna show you something. That's that anger, you know and that's what that verse is giving off. Sometimes you just gotta go a little deeper than what you see, and actually feel what's meant to be felt. And I felt that. Um, so yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and try to get these clothes folded. Um, charge up my phone, and yeah. Have a good rest of the day, and salah to everyone.